Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Okay, so it seems as though there's a trend here. There's something clearly going on. There's one word that keeps popping to mind, and that word, copium. The left is losing, it seems pretty clear to most of us, with eyeballs and working brains, but they mentally just don't want to accept it. And so, of course, instead of pivoting strategy, instead of telling the truth, they opt for the copium strategy. Just twist and manipulate things and find wins where you can create them. And of course, the most important part, the most important ingredient in this copium recipe, and that's total delusion. Reject the facts. Dismiss reality and what's really going on. Ignore the warning signs. Folks, we got a real meeting of the minds. You can sense the sarcasm in my voice when I say that. A real big-brained conversation on the Bill Maher podcast. If pseudo-intellectualism had a mecca, this would be it. Let me show you this absolute copium, this absolute delusion. But before we get into any of it, this video is actually brought to you guys by a sponsor, so let's play that clip. This video is brought to you guys by Ground News. Folks, these days it almost feels as though we're in an information war zone. There's so many people saying so many different things, it's hard to know what's true and what's not. And obviously in moments like these, you gotta be getting your information from good, trusted sources. And that is exactly where Ground News comes in. Ground News is one of the most trusted news aggregators in the business. And beyond just news aggregation, this incredible website also helps you fill in the blanks with their incredible, innovative blind spot tool. Just take a look at the blind spot page here, folks, where they list all the top stories of the week, showing you all the sources and of course the partisan lean of those sources. In other words, showing you what stories each side is purposely trying to avoid or shove under the rug. I mean, just take a look at these stories, for instance. We've got FBI revised 2022 crime data showing violent offenses rising rather than dropping, and another story showing human trafficking of immigrant children tripled under the Biden-Harris border policies. You know, two incredibly damning, relevant reports that, as you see down here, are only receiving coverage from right-wing sources. They show you the partisan bias in real time with very clear, simple to understand graphics. It's the place to be, folks. If you want to red pill your family members, all you gotta do is pull up Ground News and say, look what your side is ignoring. Don't you think this stuff's a little bit important? I'm sure you guys get exactly what I'm saying. It's simply the place to be. It's a fantastic app. And here's the kicker. If you want to join me on Ground News, I got a fantastic offer for you guys. Simply click the link down below in the description, go to ground.news/hivemind, or just simply scan the QR code that you see on screen right now, and you can get 40% off their Vantage plan, which gives you full access to all of their incredible tools. Take advantage of this special offer. A huge thank you to Ground News. Now back to the video. Alright folks, so it's pretty clear what's happening. Trump is spiking pretty much everywhere, and the markets are reacting. There's a lot of talk about these betting websites like Polymarket. I think there's another one called Kalshi or something of the sort if I'm not mistaken. Whatever, it doesn't really matter if I get the brand name. It's not like they're paying me. But anyways, betting websites where people are putting money on who they think's gonna win the presidency, and obviously the odds have shifted. As of today, this is what it looks like. Donald Trump seems to be running away with it, at least in terms of the betting predictions, and that's obviously made the left quite nervous. But according to Bill Maher and his genius panel, we're the crazy ones, and it's all just a gaslighting campaign. And that talking point comes courtesy of none other than David Hogg, of all people. Take a look.
Panel, what does the panel think of people betting on the election? Wow. I never even thought about that. I guess people, of course, bettors are going to bet on anything you bet on.
There was a Wall Street Journal story today about how somebody had thrown like $30 million into the crypto.
Well, there's a site called Polymarket. I'm an investor through a fund, so let me say that up front. I'm honest.
Yeah.
Do you know who's trying to rig it right now? Because, I mean, that was a story today in the Wall Street Journal that somebody's actually dumping $30 million.
It's like betting on the Mets, right? If you put enough money on it, the odds will change. Yeah. But you can't be a U.S. citizen and bet on the U.S. election on Polymarket. There's other smaller markets, Kashki, I think it's called, where you can. So it's not really an indication of anything.
Well, I think the irony of all of it is a lot of these Republicans are buying it, thinking that that's going to determine the outcome of the election, and they're just gaslighting themselves.
Is that right?
I guess. Because I was looking at it when Tim Walz was up as well, when it was the VP stakes, and you could see it change before.
Wait, are you saying that those are all foreigners betting on our election?
Yeah, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, other than the small play, other than the small one, Kashki, they just
No, but on Polymarket.
On Polymarket, yeah.
That's all foreigners?
All foreigners.
Well,
so this is like Republicans are excited. Say, we don't care about the polls or the early voting numbers. Look at what the foreigners are saying.
Yeah. And Putin's amazing. Putin's on on his phone going, oh, it's good.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, they influence our elections in many ways.
Yeah, they certainly do.
I mean, I kind of alluded to it in the show, but I think the biggest hoax going is the idea that the Russia collusion is a hoax.
Yeah,
it's not a hoax.
It's not.
There was collusion. Just because Bob Mueller was bad at proving it, there was definitely collusion.
Yup, it's just a bunch of Republicans and foreign agents. I guess it's Vladimir Putin skewing the betting odds to gaslight Republicans. The irony here is insane. David Hogg claims that people are gaslighting themselves by betting on Donald Trump, but really the real gaslighting comes from this bogus narrative web that he's attempting to spin here. The betting odds mean nothing. You're crazy. Kamala Harris is still totally in the lead. That's the gaslighting. This delusional dismissal of what the polymarket odds signify. He claims that it's just Republicans putting money in to, I guess, gas themselves up. But who's really doing that? People don't put money on the line just to make themselves feel good. We're talking about money here. We're talking about the almighty, the all-powerful dollar. I mean, it's one of those things that people hold pretty sacred, I'd say. People don't like losing money. It's a horrible feeling. Nobody's putting money on Trump to gaslight themselves. People are putting money on Donald Trump because of the signs, because of the analysis, because of the history, the very recent history of American elections. I mean, what's the implication here? That there's some big dark money effort to sway the election with the betting odds? How stupid. I mean, you would think if a bunch of people were putting money on Donald Trump, but the actual numbers, the actual analysis was saying that Kamala Harris was going to win, you would think that then a bunch of money would come in, an influx of cash to then bet on Kamala Harris because obviously the odds are good and they're wrong. But that isn't happening. And what does that tell you? That means people legitimately actually believe that Trump is going to win, and with good reason. It's not because people are gaslighting themselves, it's because of the data. I mean, let's just look at the general outlook for swing states. Top battlegrounds. What do you notice? Well, what used to be a sea of blue is now a sea of red. Donald Trump keeps going up. And to really put that into perspective, I could probably go on the Internet Archive. It seems as though our trusted tool is back working healthy. Let's take the Wayback Machine and travel back to August 31st, where Kamala Harris was pretty much dominating in some of the most important swing states. I mean, look at the results here. Up significantly across the Rust Belt, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. You could view it as Kamala Harris creating a blue wall. If she wins these three states, Trump has no chance of winning the general election. This is what the outlook was back in late August. And this is what it is today. It's obviously shifting and trending in one direction. I mean, just look at the chart. Kamala Harris had this momentary little blitz, then of course she stagnated, and now she's tapering off. And obviously Donald Trump is on the rise. I mean, we're talking about data here. If we look at this and just take it on face value, right? Just take these results as strong predictors and then just extrapolate the data onto a map, well, this is what it looks like. A 312 electoral victory landslide. That's kind of like the baseline scenario. And as you guys know, Donald Trump doesn't need to win 312 electoral votes. He only needs 270. In other words, he only really needs Pennsylvania. Oh, Republicans are just gaslighting themselves with the betting markets. It's absurd. It's crazy. It's delusional. It's gaslighting, and it's insulting to our intelligence. And really one of the craziest elements here is all the applause that statement got. The left-wing audience in attendance at Bill Maher's show clapping like seals, as you might expect. Oh, that's such incredible analysis. It's just unbelievable considering that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in terms of analysis in this election. Basically, what I'm interpreting here is the Democrat perspective is just ignore all the things that suggest we're not doing well. I don't know, seems like a bad strategy. What's the argument that polymarket and the betting odds are not to be trusted, are less accurate than the polls? Really? Has history shown that? Of course not. Of course it hasn't. In fact, it's shown the exact opposite. Generally, the betting markets are a whole lot more accurate at predicting elections than these nonsense push polls, who some of them, on average, have been off the mark by over 5 points. I mean, for Pete's sakes, again, just look into the data. Polling results in respect to real results, the actual results. Let's look at Wisconsin, for instance. I think it's probably the greatest example of this. Polling RCP average had Hillary Clinton winning by 6.5 points. Trump then won by 0.7. What does that mean? What does that tell you? It means the polls were off by 7 percentage points. And then, of course, we saw the exact same thing with Joe Biden. Biden was supposedly leading in Wisconsin by 6.7 points, but then only took the state by 0.7. Again, 6 points off. But the leftist argument is, don't believe the markets, don't believe people betting their hard-earned cash, believe the NBC push poll. Believe what the Marquette poll is telling you or what the Quinnipiac poll and the Morning Consult polls are telling you. You're out of your damn mind to make that argument. It's absurd. But of course, what it really is total panic, total copium, total delusion. What it really is let's talk about anything but the reality of what's actually happening. Because obviously the current reality, the current outlook, the current data, the polling numbers, not exactly looking great if you're a blue shill ain't on. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.